What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 27 of The Overview. I'm ChanManV, and joined today by the laughing Jason every single time I intro this show. What's up, Jason Kaplan?
I was just thinking, like, maybe if Complexity actually won tournaments, Harbleu would have a webcam. Maybe we would have to use a picture.
I haven't
What are you talking about?
been introduced yet.
He's there. Look, he's got
oh
he's just in the middle of a match, but he's
the
got
best
the pleasure
in
of
staring.
joining us.
He didn't even introduce me yet, and you're already firing shots. That's the way this is gonna go, I guess, today.
I want to welcome to the show the captain of the Complexity Overwatch team. He's a
captain.
Are you captain?
Torque's gonna be it.
Oh no, sorry. Okay, I guess captain.
I am now. No, I am.
It's official here, released on the ChanManV show.
He's my favorite.
Really
how about
captain,
not captain,
actually.
but he's my favorite Roadhog on Team Complexity.
Well,
how about that?
How about Star Carry? How about Star Carry?
Star Carry of the.
We'll say that.
Since when do we have Torque on the show?
Oh man, but welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. It is. It's all right to be here.
It's all right to be here. Wow. Okay. All right. I hear you. I hear you. But anyways, well, we got lots to talk about this week. We didn't have a show last week, so lots of 2 weeks worth of stuff. Season 2 definitely in full swing at this point, and I think we should talk about just what our experiences are, what we like about it, what things like we'd like to see changed too. Meta changes obviously in full swing. Lots of different characters. We're actually seeing different support players and maybe even some defensive characters mixed in there at times. And then some community news. We've got a major person at Blizzard retiring, got a developers update, and then lots of esports news, which we'll dive into with teams as well as events like the World Cup and even
World
the
Cup
Overwatch Open that's coming up too. Okay, so let's talk about Season 2. Just, I guess, us playing Overwatch, what we've been doing this week. Harbleu, since you're our guest, what you been up to in terms of Overwatch this week?
Well, it turns out that I'm the only one on my team who actually plays the game outside of scrims. Yeah, I mean, I've been actually enjoying Season 2 and all the changes quite a bit. I got Grandmaster, which I'm pretty proud of myself about. Quick pat on the back.
You got it in NA, man. What does that really mean? Try getting into Europe.
The toughest region. Europeans win one tournament, and this is what happens. We'll see after E-League, but
so
it's been good.
The question is, are you still in Grandmaster, or did you just have like?
I got it again last night.
Okay.
Then I duo queued with Zoms and Pokelols and lost both those games. So go ahead and blame them because I got it solo queue all by myself. So that's what it is.
Did you get that Grandmaster when you were streaming over at your streams? What's your stream channel? I wanted to go watch it. I just forgot what it was.
A quick plug. Twitch.tv/Harbleu. Feel free to tune in tonight. I'll be streaming again. Sorry about that.
We're jumping to the shout-outs already, like 5 minutes into the show. This is amazing.
When can I actually
we'll see you guys next week, guys.
Grandmaster back. Monday through Fridays at like 6 to 7.
No, I'm late night. I have to do it after scrims at like 12:30 a.m. So
yeah.
But let's enough selling out.
Yeah, so Season 2. So what are the things that I guess you particularly liked about the changes, and maybe some things that you'd like to see change?
Well, I'll go first on this. So as a player, so the huge thing for me is as a flex, there's so many more heroes that are like viable for my role now. Like before, if you were flex, that essentially meant that you played Zarya. Like that was it. Like before Season 2 and the patch and everything, that's what flex was. But now with the Zenyatta nerfs, that's actually opened up like a lot more heroes that weren't that viable before, and also some of the other changes. Like now Roadhog is starting to see quite a bit more playback in the meta, and with some of the changes, Mei is actually a lot better, and Junkrat too. So for me particularly as flex, there's a lot more heroes I'm allowed to play, which just makes the game way more fun for me.
What are your thoughts on just the whole draws and just how the time bank system's working right now?
I'm still not sure if I prefer it over just this. I mean, I prefer it over Season 1. How coin flip, obviously, like that was.
I think everybody prefers that.
I like time bank way more than that. Now, in terms of like tournaments using time bank, I'm still not 100% sure if I think it's better than just stopwatch was. But Our team hasn't really played in a tournament yet where we've done it like in a real competitive setting, so I haven't had like full time to test it. But in scrims, it's been okay. I think I can see it working out fine. Like I said, I'm not sure if I like it more than just like stopwatch, but it's been pretty good so far.
I mean, the events right now, Jason, aren't most events playing a tiebreaker for the draw situations?
I don't know what Ghost is doing. The way it used to be, if there was a tie, at least in the Atlantic Showdown, there was a tiebreaker map. It was like a King of the Hill, best of 3, not best of 5. I don't know if Ghost is using that, but then past that, there's not really many other tournaments going on right now. There's the Levana one.
Yeah.
I would assume there's there's a King of the Hill playoff for that.
That's usually what people are doing. Yeah.
Yeah. With the World Cup though, they did a different little thing, but we can get into that in a little bit.
Okay. Cool.
My season 2 experience.
Yeah.
Actually, it's been pretty nice. I guess I got really lucky in most of my games because in my placements I went like 6-3-1, but like in generally every game -1. Hey, high five, bro.
We did it.
Where did you start at 6-3-1? Like what player ranking?
2970.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Okay.
What a coincidence. I started at 3300.
Yeah, fuck you.
I thought you couldn't start in Diamond. Is that? Oh, that wasn't.
No, you can't.
Oh, I didn't realize you could start in Diamond. Okay.
Yeah. So the problem I have with season 1 is that I didn't get to play until August, so I missed an entire month of it pretty much. Because I was casting every week for 4 days a week, and I didn't have like time because I was moving and all this other stuff. So it was nice for me to actually get in on the ground floor with this one. So yeah, I started at 2900. I'm now at like 3460 or something with like an 8-game win streak. So I'm getting 70 points a game. So I'm like being very cautious about every game I play now. But in general, the time bank's nice. It's nice. It's a nice little change. There were some minor tweaks though that kind of confused me on capture point maps. So the old way capture point maps went was if you went to overtime, you never got additional time allotted to you. So for instance, if you're onto the second point, you're in overtime, you cap it, and in your first actual round of attacks, you get no time. But if you have more than 1 second left, but less than 2 minutes, you get reset to 2 minutes. Now it just adds a minute to everyone. So it adds a minute to the team who went overtime, and it adds a minute to the team who has more time left over. I don't know if I fully agree with that. Like it gives place for so much more comebacks. It's such a drastic change from the first season to second when it comes to that little overtime tick.
Yeah. You think the change makes it better for comeback, or you think that the old way was better for comeback?
The new change.
Because
you get an extra minute, and the fact that you can well, actually I don't know. Yeah, if you go to overtime on the first point, then it's over. You don't actually get a chance at the second point. But it gives you a second chance. Where on the other side, you just get an extra minute, like allotted to, which isn't necessarily a good thing, because they get a minute, and it's always a chance, to catch you off guard or something to make a mistake for the team to capture. So I don't know. It's definitely odd. I think it was like a pretty significant change. I feel like I don't know about you, Harbleu.
Wait a minute. So I'm still slightly confused on all the because I know if you cap it overtime for the second point now, gives you an extra minute. And then, so when you go back on offense with that minute, if you cap then the first point in overtime, did you say it's over then, or does it give you 30 seconds? Because I know normally
does it give you 30?
Yes, it used to give you an additional 30 then after you cap
that first point. Okay, so then that was, I haven't had much experience when it comes to that. I've just seen a couple of cases. So then you get even more time, to actually capture the second point, which is extremely favored for teams who are trying to come back and who are already set behind. I don't know if I really
they did give time to the other team too, which before they didn't, right? Like you just get like this bonus time.
Yeah, if you had more than 2 minutes when you capped the second point before, then it just kept you at whatever time you were at. And if you were under 2 minutes, like say you capped with like 30 seconds left, it brought you up to like 2 minutes. But now it's like Jason said, even if you cap like an overtime or anything now, it just straight up gives you a minute regardless after when the next time you go into offense, which I'm not sure if so I don't know if I like it or either, and maybe it's just because I was so used to the old system where it's like, okay, we're on defense now, they have like 30 seconds left, even if they cap out here, let's make sure they cap out in overtime so they don't get another chance on offense. So I don't know if it's just because I'm used to that system, which is why I liked it more, or so I don't know which one's better. I'll say I think the newer one could be more fair because it was, or it could be better for viewers because it was pretty like anticlimactic, where it was like, okay, this team now doesn't get another turn on offense. So if this other team just caps the first point, they win. Like it was I can see it being almost better for the viewers this way, but I'm not sure if it's like more competitive like this. So I'm not sure if I like it or not yet.
Yeah. I mean, like the fact that originally, if you did pull them into overtime on second point, it means all you have to do is cap the first point to win. But now you have to defend the first point and potentially second point and still do it again.
Right.
So it puts more work on the team who already had the advantage, which if you look at it in terms of like, oh, the better team should always win, they should win. But the chance for upset, I think, it's just way too high and it's way too risky. Like at the same time, I don't know.
I think 2CP is one of those game modes where it has more upset potential than any other one, just because of how the map design is. How you can, like, if you cap first really fast, you can have a huge ult advantage and just roll through into last with like 3 or 4 ults, while the defense has none of them. So it can be one of those game types where like a weaker team can upset better teams more often than say like on payload or something.
Yeah.
But even that, it's not really. It's not like you said. It's better for viewers, but it's not really better competitively. The better team should always win.
Yeah. That's true.
Like,
from a fair standpoint,
I mean, there's chance for upsets, but then if the team upsets you, they're playing better, I think. So I don't know.
It's something to tweak. I mean, I'm not against them. You know, again, like a large amount of the Overwatch players aren't, you know, at the pro scene or anything, like in the pro sector or anything. So, you know, just having this kind of manufactured, in a way, added thing to cause potential comebacks it's okay to try. We'll see how it ends up. You know, ends up affecting the top level players. But you know, I'm okay with doing it.
I think. Like out of all the changes, the payload one is like insane though. The fact that you can technically push the payload the entire time and actually finish. And teams have already done that back at one of these COW tournaments, and even I think in a Ghosty Gamers tournament, just to be able to push the payload the entire way through. See, like that, I'm actually okay with, for the fact that if like you're the better team and you can't win a team fight, then the other team should ideally be able to cap on you.
I actually like that change a lot also. It actually provides for some super interesting things where if you're on defense and you know that the offense like is going to be an overtime where they literally cannot leave the payload, then that's where on defense you can go like specific heroes that like you can go like Mei and like Zarya, who you literally just with your ultimate on defense. Like if you have Mei ult and you just toss it on the cart, like they can't leave the cart, so they're just going to get like frozen and just die there. Or like with Black Hole or something, you can like Black Hole them off the cart and then just make them lose. So it provides actually some really interesting strategies, I think.
Yeah.
And I actually do like that change quite a bit. It's been in scrims and everything like that from testing. It's been really fun. It can like provide for some really hype games where the offense is like rolling the payload, doing overtime, and they can't leave the card, and the defense is trying to just knock them off. Like it can be. I think it's a really cool change to that one.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we are seeing more Maids too, with the change to Maids projectile.
Mai's so damn
She's
good.
Crazy good right now.
I hate her, but she's so good.
I know.
She's so fun.
I do want to talk, like, since we're talking about things that are a little bit, you know, potentially from the fairness standpoint, not quite there yet. There's still that issue I mentioned even on a few shows before, where you have that scenario where neither team finishes the first checkpoint or the first capture point, right? And actually, let's just say payload. It's actually payload match. So neither team actually completes.
Hybrid, yeah.
So neither of them complete the actual first checkpoint. And you're in a position where, you know, there's just a marker, right? So the first team goes, and then there's a marker, and then the second team has to try to just meet that marker. But that totally gives the advantage to the first team defending, because the first team defending has the entire clock to determine where the payload ends up, where the second team, like, once you just meet that spot, it's over, like, instantly. So like it doesn't matter if you would have won that team fight like a little bit later and pushed that cart all the way back. It doesn't matter because you don't even get a chance to do that. So that's always been an issue with fairness. I'm not even sure why they do that. So I'm not even sure if it's intentional or not.
Well, so I can see what you're trying to say here, and from my standpoint is, so if you're on defense first, obviously you want to just do like the best defense possible.
Yeah.
So were you trying to say that it's favored for whoever gets defense first or whoever gets attack first?
Whoever gets defense first, because they have the entire clock to determine where the payload ends up. where the second defensive team doesn't. Like if it ends in the first like if you meet that spot in the first 30 seconds or 60 seconds, then it's over instantly. Like the game literally ends right there. You don't get the rest of the clock to like you don't get the rest of the clock to turn it.
But that means whoever defended second then just like completely messed up on their offense then. Like they were the ones who didn't push the card as far as they should have. And then so then they know how far they set. So you can actually go like a different comp specifically knowing that, oh, we have to stop them on this point, or we can't let them cap like the streets phase of King's Row. Like we have to stop them in the mid streets. So you can actually specifically change up your comp knowing that they can only push the cart this far. So you can run heroes with like different ults specifically for that. So it can actually make you play differently, and I wouldn't actually say it favors either side. Like our team actually has absolutely no preference for whichever one we're on first, whether it be attack or defense, just because it's balanced in different ways, and it can force your teams to play slightly differently. But I don't think it's a huge like impact actually.
Yeah, so the added information, I guess that's true. I mean, you strategically could play differently based on just knowing where you need to get. So okay, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Also, like I don't know about you guys, and just you playing CoL.Harbleu, and Jason, what do you play these days? Like you're playing, what's your main?
I'm actually playing DPS, thank God.
See, well,
I'm playing Pharah and Mei main.
Okay, then you probably don't have a problem with this, but I play Reinhardt, and I know they made some changes to at least how support is rewarded in terms of rank points, after matches or even losses or wins or whatnot. But and they probably have something in place too from the standpoint of the algorithm for tanks. But I feel like Reinhardt right now, I feel like I'm losing way more points than I'm gaining, even when I'm streaking. And I think at least from the standpoint of Reinhardt's role in a lot of these battles, it's not being like rewarded properly or whatnot, because I'm at 50% and I'm like minus 210 on my rank points. And that 210
Were any of those streaks? Like, were you on a losing streak or ever on winning streaks? Because those
both
really affect you.
Yeah, both. I mean, I've probably on equal number of losing streaks and winning streaks. And, I mean, it was, like, massive. So, like, anytime I win, I mean, it's literally between, I would say, 20 and 35. And when I lose, it's anywhere from 30 to 60. And it's just like, man, I mean, I'm, like, losing, points constantly.
You know how to solve that? Just don't lose.
Well, yeah, but
are you saying use the fabled sign of, or the fabled skill of just get good?
Just
I mean, that's what it sounds like it might have to be. I mean, that's nothing. Well, it's nothing I've heard of personally with like tanks having that issue. I know JKW. Well, maybe it is. I don't know, but
it's particularly
I don't know how they factor in everything. Like, does it factor in like damage blocked as to like how good you're doing as Reinhardt? Like, because obviously I think it does factor in like healing done and other stuff like that. So I'm not sure how they like calculate what your like hidden like NMR and all that other stuff is. So who knows?
I'm hoping it's. I think what I was trying to get at is like I'm hoping it doesn't have that much to do with individual play, because I used to be a fan of individual play and I kind of understood it, but right now I'm thinking that it might be too much of a design challenge to actually implement that in the form of just the whole balancing and stuff, because especially with Reinhardt, I mean there's all kinds of different strategies that involve Reinhardt that don't result in stats. Like for instance, just the El Presidente strategy, right? Just like defending a bastion. I mean, there's a lot of times I don't get many kills at all because that's all I'm doing. You know what I mean? But that's still important to the strategy that's being involved. Yet I don't get credited for it if they are taking individual play into account.
I don't know why they ever actually more
but
points based off of who you're playing, because like you're saying, you could do like nothing one game and get nothing, like get no points compared to everyone else, but you actually did do more in the end by just holding the shield up like the
DPS.
I don't understand.
DPS always has to do DPS, so that's like a constant, right? Support pretty much always has to heal, and that's like a constant. But the thing with the shield, you can't give too much to damage block because it's so easy, right, to block damage too. So you get into these really complicated scenarios, and that's why I think it's like you should just throw all that out of the window, and just have a win be a win and a loss be a loss. Just that's it, right? And balance based on that.
I think that's how most other games do it.
It is.
I think like League and other games, it's pretty much winning or losing is the only thing that matters. and they try not to make like individual stats matter, which I kind of agree on it. But I can also see the other side where there's just are those some games where no matter how well you play, you know, you can have like 60% kill participation as like a DPS and still lose. I think if you play really well in a loss, it shouldn't affect you as much as if you just completely feed the entire game and you're like the reason that you lost. Like then I could see it, you losing more from that. So I can see like the flip side where like you have those games where you still lose, but I don't think it should affect it as much if you play well on it. But then it gets weird with like tank stats, like you're saying. How can you tell if a tank is doing good or not?
Yeah,
not based on stats. So yeah, maybe it would be best to just do away with it altogether.
I mean, maybe there is an algorithm that does favor somebody who is performing super well versus somebody that statistically doesn't look like they're performing. But definitely it shouldn't be, you know, like the bottom side should not be as high as the top side for something like that. And
I think there's even like I can understand actually both sides of this argument. It's just how could you, like you're saying, ChanManV, ever actually monitor this to a level where it's not abused and it actually reflects things correctly? And I think one major problem, like in line with that, that's still happening and will always happen in games like this where you can choose whatever you want to play, is that there's griefers. Like I've had the most insane amount of griefers even in this season, of just people who won't play what's needed. And I can understand, like, obviously you could have a 6 DPS team and still win. Like there's always a chance to do that just because the other team doesn't know how to react, or maybe every 6 players on your team is really good at DPS. But then you get those people who are like, no, I'm not going to play support ever because I don't give a fuck and I'm going to play DPS every time. I'm going to play, you know, an offensive Torbjorn because I won one time and it's the best thing ever and I want to play him.
Yep.
And there's no way to actually punish those people in a way. Because, like, for instance, who plays Torbjorn really that often in competitive? And if it compares your play or your results on Torbjorn to everyone else's, and that's how it gauges how many points you get, then you'll still get a decent amount of points if you win, and you won't lose that much if you lose. So I feel like there needs to be, like, a better report option in game or something. There's no griefing report option, which I've seen people on Reddit even, like, ask for.
That's definitely a whole different thing. Reporting because of just behavior, just like that kind of behavior, is definitely something that they're missing. They were trying to combine it into like one option before, when in reality, like the reporting thing should have been broken up into 2. And we've talked about that for sure. But anyways, moving forward, like, why don't we talk about the meta? So we touched on, like, we're seeing a lot more Mei and, you know, seeing Junkrat and like your flex position, Harbleu. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, are you happy with the meta right now, just for overall?
For the most part, the one thing that we haven't touched on yet that I was going to bring up was Ana right now in it, and the 3-3, the dreaded 3-3 everyone always talks about.
Whoa, there was a 4-2 today. There was a 4-2 today by NIP.
Wait, what? Four
tanks, 2 supports. They ran that today against.
What was it, Ana, and then just like Lucio or something?
I think so. Yeah, it was like Winston, Roadhog, Reinhardt, Zarya.
Interesting. I mean, I can. So
and Luminosity got like wiped over. It was insane.
So the root of all this stems from just how fast Ana can build her ult, and that's honestly the biggest issue I have. Like, I don't think Ana is super OP or busted or anything like that, but it's obvious that right now in like competitive in the meta, she's super strong, and I think that just being because if you're on attack, you can literally build her ult before any other person on defense, unless they're running an Ana also has any ults to stop you. And then if you just Ana ult the Ryan going in against a team with 0 ults, he can normally just go in and roll over a team there. So I think, honestly, if they just nerfed Ana's ult charge speed, like maybe 20%, so the defense would have a time to get like maybe 1 or 2 of their ults to try and at least counter it, then I could think it being way more balanced. For right now, I think Ana is slightly too strong.
That's what happened with Mercy as well, right? They had to nerf her ult charge because she was ulting like every fight, sometimes like twice, unless she wasn't killed, or unless she was killed.
Yeah, and it makes it like, just from a design standpoint, it's just really dumb because it literally forces you on defense. Like, there'll be a lot of times where we see the other team has an Ana, and it's like, okay, do not spam, don't shoot, don't do anything. Like, you literally are playing to you're playing to try not to give them ult. Like, that's literally all you're doing to play. Like,
let me counter argument that then. Like, let me play devil's advocate here. Then what stops you guys from engaging on a comp that has Ana? Like, to force a fight before she gets ult.
So you can. That's definitely one of. So there's still, like, I'm not saying Ana's not unbeatable, because that is definitely one of the counters to her is hard engage. Like hard engage against an Ana, she's not that strong against it. But there's just like if you're doing hard engage, you have to specifically run a comp design for it, and so you have to assume that the other team's running Ana. So like normally you'd want like a Reaper and some things like that, and normally most teams won't default to a Reaper on defense.
Right.
But it's getting to the point where you might almost have to now, just assuming that the offense is most likely going to have an Ana. So it's forcing you to like do these mind games on, and it's all coming down to whether or not the team has an Ana or not. And then if they don't have an Ana, you're stuck in like a suboptimal comp where like say they run like a pick offense with like Hanzo and Roadhog. Reaper is not really that great against it. So it's like just trying to guess whether or not they have an Ana is what it comes down to. Because you can also try and do things like Mei against Ana is actually okay. Like say, you ice wall right when they Ana ult the Rhine and he's forced to like go all the way around or get stuck. So there are like counters to it, but it's all just comes down to whether or not they have an Ana, and you have to try and guess that and then run these heroes specifically for it. So it's a weird guessing game, and I honestly just think if they nerfed Ana's ult charge by like 20%, it would be like in a perfect spot because she still provides a lot of healing. She has her little bomb thing she throws, which completely counters Zenyatta. Like Zenyatta ult, like you toss that in Zenyatta ult and literally useless. So she provides still a lot of utility with sleep dart and everything. So she's good outside of her ult, and just there's no reason it should be charged as fast as it does.
Yeah.
What about also the fact of so there's two ideas I saw. One idea I saw on Reddit, one I just kind of came up with their ultimate, but it's really frustrating to try to ult someone on your team and then like someone walks in the way and like he's too fat, so you kind of like hit the wrong person, and then like there was a suggestion of like you hit Q to lock onto your target and then you can hit it again to activate, or you can hit Q on someone else to change it.
That'd be good.
I think that definitely would be better, but I will say it is one of the funniest sights when you see Ana ulted like Mercy going in with her pistol trying to take down the other team.
Lucio's the common one I see.
I had that happen today with a Hanzo. Somehow Hanzo got in the way of a Reinhardt, and the Hanzo actually went and killed 2 people. It was great.
I mean, if it goes on a DPS,
he's gonna kill 2 people anyways. Like
as long as it's on a DPS, it's still okay. But when you see it like on a Zenyatta just going in, throwing orbs while he's Ana ulted is one of the funniest sights.
Totally wrecking.
What about the other thing with Ana though? Because like you can't shoot. So if you want to do damage, you can't shoot through your teammates, and you have to like move. But if you also want to heal your teammates, sometimes you have to move to even get a line of sight onto them. Yeah. Kind of thing. What about like having the option to be able to shoot through versus shoot teammates, like a toggle?
I feel like then you're getting at the point where there's just too much. Like I don't think Blizzard likes overcomplicating heroes with like mechanics like that. Like if they were to add that, then I think her kit would just have way too much, like keep track of a lot of it for some players. I mean, in theory, it would be a cool thing to have, but it's not something I could ever see them adding just because then it would just get like overcomplicated with all the different things she has. But I mean, obviously that'd be a pretty cool thing to have if they could somehow make it work and simplify it.
So I was just curious. It's just really frustrating, like for a skill ceiling kind of level, that your position, you have to be in a good position, which you can't even get to quickly because you're Ana. You don't have speed, you don't have a hook or something to actually heal someone. Like even if you're like someone goes in too deep, like a Reinhardt charges forward and you have your entire team in front of you, it forces you to run in front of your entire team to heal him. But at the same rate, you could also argue, well, the Reinhardt maybe shouldn't have charged that far. So it's
all the support, like Mercy has the same issue too. I mean, like if you're standing in front, Mercy doesn't have line of sight either to heal somebody like a Reinhardt in that position, right? So
it's just blame the Reinhardt. Simple as that. We'll just,
you shouldn't have extended that far, especially when you're playing with Ana. You should just wait for the ult. I mean, that's all you should be doing, right? No, but it's great seeing Ana in the meta though. I've really enjoyed watching it as well as playing with a bunch of Anas these days, and people are getting better at it too, just generally on the ladder, which is really, really, really nice, especially when you're playing. Right.
Well, it's like I brought up earlier. I think the Zenyatta nerf like helped the overall meta so much. Like it opened up more DPS heroes, and it also literally every support now is viable. Like Mercy is getting a lot more play also, and I'm not sure if that's it's probably partly because of her buff, but also just because of the Zenyatta nerf. Like before, with how strong Zenyatta was, you just simply couldn't run another support over him because of how good he was. Yeah. But now that he got slightly nerfed, and Lucy also got slightly nerfed, the fact that they both got nerfed, you're seeing heroes like Ana and Mercy come back in some. So it's actually like it forces you to have like a decent hero pool. Like before, if you were a support main, you could be good at just like Zenyatta or just Lucio, and that was it. But now, if you're not good at like Ana or Mercy, you're really limiting your team's like options that they have. Yeah. So the fact that like 4 or 5 different supports are viable, and you're seeing like a lot of different DPS and flex heroes viable, it's making just the meta a lot more fun, I think.
That sounds like a great place to be. I mean, we've been basically wanting this type of meta where different maps require different comps. And hopefully that 4-2 and 3-3 don't get too popular on all the maps, because that I don't know if that would be the funnest to watch. But definitely good to see every once in a while. All right, well, let's move on to some community news. A big announcement yesterday concerning somebody that's, if you like Blizzard games, if you've been following Blizzard games for like the last 20 years or 15, 20 years, then you know who Chris Metzen is. And in terms of Overwatch, he's the creative director. I think he's senior VP and creative director for Overwatch. He announced he's retiring, which is crazy. He's like still pretty young in my eyes, but he's retiring. I think he's 42. And
42.
And he's gonna just kind of he wants to spend more time with his family, which is I can definitely understand that. But yeah, Chris Metzen not being part of Blizzard is like, I don't even know what that feels like, to be honest, because he's been such a huge person, or he's had such a huge role in a lot of the Blizzard titles that we all love. I mean, I think he started in Warcraft 2, I believe, or maybe Warcraft 3, and then he's had a role in developing the lore and a lot of the voice acting and things like StarCraft, Diablo, World of Warcraft, and of course, now Overwatch. So this is just a big announcement, and I don't think there's anybody that's a better hype guy too at BlizzCon than Chris Metzen. I mean, his speeches at BlizzCon are iconic and part of BlizzCon in my eyes. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts on Chris Metzen retiring. Jason, what do you think? Oh, can't hear you, man.
I'll get my thought. Wait, he's got it.
I'm good. I actually can't comment on it really because I don't know him. I didn't even know who he really was, what he did at Blizzard until the announcement. Yeah, I played StarCraft, I played World of Warcraft, I played Diablo. I didn't really know who he was. Like, the only person I really know of is like Mike Morhaime, Jeff Kaplan, and Ghostcrawler. And like Ghostcrawler doesn't even work for them anymore, if I remember correctly. He works for Riot now or something.
Yeah. Now I feel.
That's all I know.
I feel less bad for not knowing either. I'll say for any
I should have let you go first.
Well, no, now we look the same in it. But I'll say for at least it's like a good reason he's retiring. It's not like health or something. Like if you want to, retire and spend more time with family and everything like that, I can completely respect that, and I think that's a cool thing to do. So
it sucks to have enough money to retire at 42.
I know, doesn't
what
it?
a hard life, right?
God. Seriously.
Esports, please.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's going to be someone else that can fill his shoes at Blizzard. There's more than enough talented people that can help do what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hope so. I mean, again, Chris Metzen he's a super talented guy, and he's been responsible for these worlds that we talk about, and when we're talking about Blizzard products, just not even just like a developer or designer. I mean, he's the guy that even just created it, even just from the standpoint of lore and just developing that. Not to mention he's an artist too. He's done some of the visual arts as well as voice acting, and I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, he's definitely covered the entire gambit.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing you're here then, because Jason and I were both very very limited on that.
Okay, it's a good. Well, I'm glad I added it to the show notes. Just so you guys. But no, I definitely want to pay respects to Chris, because again, like I think for the last 20 years, he's done a lot of things that he's produced has really changed the lives of a lot of folks that are watching this show, or that play Overwatch and any of the Blizzard titles. So best of luck to him, and just everything he's doing. I think he's going to come back in some capacity. He'll be back in gaming in some capacity after, I don't know, at least the kids are older in school and whatnot. But I'd be really surprised if he doesn't come back at some point. Okay, next up we got another developers update video that the technical guys came up with. It is, gosh, I'm forgetting who it was exactly. Let me see.
The Cup guys?
It was Tim Ford, Tim Ford and Philip Warwick. They're the two guys with the Farrah Cups guys. So they were talking about the high bandwidth and that just I guess TLDR. They basically improved it. So all the complaints about being shot behind walls, it's going to be even less than ever. And it sounds like it's a continued effort, and we've heard that too. I mean, Jeff Kaplan's obviously said recently that a lot of the resources or a lot of their time has been going to continuing to improve that. And I think we're finally starting to see the fruits. I mean, do you still notice anything, Harbleu? Like any kind of craziness on your end?
Well, I mean,
tick rates and things like that.
I play a lot of Roadhog, and with Roadhog,
yes,
weird.
That's true.
Crazy. So that's more still, I think, on Roadhog than the netcode. They with the recent change they made to his hook mechanics.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of times.
Can you go over this real quick? Because I got confused. I thought it was apparently if they're not in your line of sight when you hook them, then they don't get pulled to you. But apparently I'm wrong.
I can go over that. But as for the bandwidth thing, cool. I like it. Better bandwidth, always better.
Okay.
Okay, let me go to the Roadhog real quick. So for Roadhog, it's definitely better now than it was before. Pretty much the way it works is when you hook someone, say they're like moving when you hook them, it pretty much will put them, it'll like teleport them back to where they were first hooked and then pull them forward again. So in general, it's better, but it also leads to some weird interactions where like if you're falling down when you hook someone, normally the person will get hooked down with you and bring them in front of you. But now, like if you fall off a ledge and you hook someone, it'll teleport them like above you and make it like almost impossible to one-shot them. So in general, it is better, but it leads to some weird interactions sometimes. So Roadhog's not perfect yet, but it mostly is better. So I've been having a lot more fun with Roadhog now than on live before Season 2. So it is better.
Okay.
But that's a little tangent. Internet, netcode, it's good.
All right, that's good.
I'll focus on the other aspect of it, of them actually implement it into quick match as well, not just like competitive.
Yeah, I agree.
Because damn, it's annoying sometimes when you play competitive all day, then you switch to quick to like play with friends or whatever, and just shots that should hit just don't hit, and it can be really frustrating. But no, it's definitely nice, and I think it was 100% needed because if the netcode's so low and people can hit shots that they shouldn't be hitting, like where's the skill ceiling in that? You shouldn't be able to shoot a Hanzo arrow that's the size of a tree trunk and hit someone when you actually didn't hit them. So it gets a little bit more based on FPS. I think a lot more higher skill ceiling for people with aim, like McCree's and such like that. Like you need to be really on top of your aim to hit these shots. It's nice though in general, like and the fact that they're putting it into other modes. It used to be just in competitive mode, or sorry, in custom games you can switch it on, but then to implement it into all these other game modes is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it was definitely noticeable the difference from like 20 to 60 when they made that change. Like that, the high band was like a huge noticeable difference. If they're doing like any further changes, like I'm not sure if that's what the video was. I'll be honest, I haven't 100% watched all of it. If they're still like doing further changes to it, I haven't really noticed anything. But I mean, it feels pretty good right now. Like there's in general, the shots that hit are hitting. You know, most things that feel like they should hit are, and there's very rare where like I feel like I'm like around a corner and I get killed by something. So the netcode in the game feels pretty smooth, I think, which is like a huge thing, obviously, in any competitive game is having the hitting be accurate. So it's been pretty good.
All right, well, job well done by those guys, and it's not like they're going to stop, so they're going to keep trying to improve it. So definitely good stuff there. All right, let's move on to esports recap. So I started off with these picks from Ghosty Gamers from last week, but I think they might be a lot different, since given that we've been talking about Ana, and Ana's not that high here. But maybe we can just at least talk about this a little bit, and you know, we've kind of talked to it from a high level with you, Harbleu, but anything on this list that you see that stands out, that you know, in terms of what people are picking and maybe just the general meta?
No, I mean, most of that, like, I'll say the Zarya pick rate is still, I think, high. So I don't think Zarya is that amazing. Like, our team runs her maybe like 50% now, but with like the 3-3, obviously she's played a lot in that. But I mean, like, all that looks in this list here, I'd still like to see maybe some of these more like niche picks, like use more. Like May, I think, is better than 9% pick. Like, and Hanzo, I think, at least at higher level, when you have like really good Hanzos, he can be like one of the better DPS out there. Like, there's no other like DPS besides like Widow who can like one-shot people across the map. And by him, he's just like random arrows. So I think if you saw like a Ghost of Gamers like this upcoming week with more top teams in it, those numbers would look like completely different there. I think because some of these heroes. I think Anna definitely used more than. I think Anna's definitely more than 4%.
Yeah.
Let's look at the two big changes though. It's Mercy plus 40% change.
Yep.
And Genji 32% change of being worse,
down.
The negative area. Like that's pretty crazy. Just that. So for instance, for Mercy, the change with she heals more over time and she can dash around a lot easier without any cooldown. And then Genji with the changes to his wall jump, and his dash.
No, it's the combo. It's the combo, right? Like you can't.
Yeah. And he's seen a 30% change in play. Like that's maybe a lot more than expected.
They also changed his ult. It lasts slightly less.
Less.
His
that's a big deal too. Yeah.
The one plus side, though, I've heard from like some Genji mains, is that his shurikens are a lot easier to hit because with that projectile change they did, where they made all projectiles slightly bigger. Because it was originally they were reverting a change they had done a while ago, where they had made them smaller. And now they're slightly bigger again, so it's easier to hit shurikens with him. So he isn't just straight up weaker. His was more like a change, and I think the negative 33% on him was kind of like it was like a knee-jerk reaction. It was like people like, oh, he sucks now. There's no point even trying him anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But we've been seeing, I mean, in scrims and everything like that, he's still obviously strong from playing against like teams running him, and I think he'll come back up from that. Like, there's no way he's only a 35% pick hero. He's still a game-changing DPS who can, even with his ult, even with it being slightly slower, can just completely change a fight by himself. So I think he will go up from that big change.
Yeah, the biggest thing with Mercy too is that not only did she go up 40.8%, she went from 0 to 48.8%. So she wasn't picked at all before. And
that's like just like I said with Zenyatta, with where he was, there's just no point running like Mercy or anyone else over him. So the buff for her with the nerf to Zenyatta made her just more viable. And I think it's you can see there, Mercy, Zenyatta, Lucio, like all three of them are up there, and it's really good having just multiple supports viable.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Pharah? Because a lot of folks were thinking when Mercy got that buff and Mercy would be back, that basically meant that Pharah would be back in the meta. And we're seeing a little bit of an increase. Like again, it went from 0 to 14. So
Pharah is definitely good, better on some maps than others. Like on King's Row, she's pretty good because in like the street section and everywhere, there's a lot of like geometry she can hide behind. Like where Pharah is not good normally is like really open areas where McCree just has like free range, just shooting her across the map. But on maps where there's like buildings and high things where she can like fly behind, she's definitely a lot better. So our team's been running quite a bit of Pharah.
Telling us these secrets.
I mean, any team that scrimmed us would know what we do. But I mean, she definitely, I don't think she's as strong as she was before. But she's definitely up there also, and it just goes back to all these changes making so many more heroes viable again.
Yes,
it's awesome. It's really fun. So she's pretty good.
Okay.
I think also the fact that we're seeing a lot more Tracer Genji gives weight to her, because you see Winston, Zarya, Tracer Genji quite a bit, which I mean she doesn't do too great necessarily against like the Genji and Tracer. I mean, obviously if you can hit direct on a Tracer, you basically kill her. But she's like a DPS you don't have to worry about really anymore, unless there's like a Zen in the team who can just snipe you out of the air. Like she doesn't need a Mercy in tow. So I don't know. I think we're gonna see a lot more of her. Like I've been playing a ton of her when it comes to ranked, and obviously ranked isn't the same as doing competitive matches, but she's still ridiculously good. I feel like so many people forgot how to play against her. Like it's the only time I ever cannot play Pharah is when there's a McCree in the enemy team that's like a pro player, because they'll just shoot you out of the sky every time.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I mean, plus the fact that Zarya is also played now, like comboing Zarya with Pharah is like you can like black hole and Pharah ult and literally wipe a whole team like that. So before, back when it was like the Pharah Mercy meta, normally Zarya wasn't ran that often, and the Pharah Mercy was just like their own unit that did their own thing. But now you have like the Zarya there too sometimes, where you can then like shield the Pharah while she's ulting, so she just doesn't get killed instantly. So there's a lot more like playing around it now, which makes like some new plays that you didn't really see before.
Yeah.
That it's pretty good.
That's awesome, for sure. Okay, well, let's talk about some team news. We've got a couple things. Starting with the good news, which was Immortal picks up the Sodipop, or the roster from Sodipop, which includes, let me see, let me bring it up real quick so you guys can see the official announcement. All right, so this is the Immortals Facebook page, but picking up Grim Reality, Agility is Athens, Jur, Hyped, which some of you guys might know from Hearthstone 2, Nomi, and Kurjan. So Sodipop, it was a pretty. I mean, they were probably like a second tier type of team, maybe even lower on the second tier, somewhere mid to lower team. So what do you guys think of Immortals? Being a pretty big name organization in esports, picking up this team.
I mean, obviously, it's good for the scene. Yeah. Like the more top orgs always is better for a scene. So about this in particular, so back before we were sponsored by TSM or Complexity or anything, when we were looking for an org, we had talked with Immortals for a while.
Okay.
And we talked with Noah, who's like their owner or like their pretty much general manager, runs the whole org and everything. We had talked with him for multiple times. And they were definitely interested in getting into the Overwatch scene, but they were just trying to wait for like their right opportunity to get in. And I think they probably saw it now that there was like pretty much all the teams were getting signed. Like FaZe, signed that new roster that they formed, and there weren't that many teams like Orglis. So it was like, okay, who's out there that's not signed that looks like they have potential? And like Sodipop, they qualified for E-League. So it definitely made sense to go with them. I will say though, if they don't get good results, like within the first like 4 or 5 months, you could most likely see pressure from the org for roster changes. Just knowing how Immortals is and how they're run, they care about winning quite a bit, and I could see pressure on like from the org side of it to try and swap out players if they don't get good results. I'm not saying that is what will happen. I'm just saying, knowing Immortals, and they care about winning a lot, and from how their previous teams have been ran, that it's something that I could definitely see happening from it. But it's awesome for the team still getting signed by that. Yeah. I imagine they're probably getting a good salary and everything. And I know Immortals will definitely takes care of their teams well from everything that I'd heard. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them dip their feet into Overwatch with the ex-FaZe guys, like for the Overwatch, was it the Overwatch Open qualifier they were in?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Because it was like some weird like thing where they were playing under the Immortals name, but they weren't like under contract, and I don't know really know. It was weird.
Yeah, it was just like a temporary, like you can use our name, but we're not signed to you yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like an org. Yeah, I kind of agree with Harbu. Like if you're gonna be a team that's gonna be picked up by them, then you have a lot to live up to. Like with Immortals league team that they have, like pretty damn strong league team. I think Sodapops, I like to see them actually picked up though. Just the fact that they've been working really hard. I feel like for the past, how many months now of just constantly playing, had some good results here or there. Haven't been able to really break through as a tier 1 team in NA, but we'll see how it goes. I like to see that, like Harbleu said, a lot more orgs getting into the scene, like NIP picking up a team, Luminosity picking up even another team, sticking more importantly with Overwatch instead of just dropping it after that. Yeah, can only be good things. I actually wonder what they're getting paid, because I know what they offered the old FaZe guys, and it really wasn't that much money. And I would imagine if you're Sodipop, you're getting paid even less than like the FaZe guys.
You think so?
Probably not. Just I know like how they like to run their things, and I'm probably getting a good salary still, but I don't know. I really don't want to go too much into it. Exactly. I think I will say it's at the point now though where I know there are still other orgs looking at getting into the game, and it's pretty much where if they don't sign teams now, I think they're feeling like then they're gonna have to wait like a long while to get in, because there's not that many other top teams out there that aren't signed still. Like sure, there's some players who could like form a team and everything, but I know there are still like a few big orgs that are looking into Overwatch, but
there's no proven team.
Yeah, like exactly.
There's no proven teams, but there's still ample amounts of players and potential teams that we still haven't seen, which we talked about even, I don't know, a couple of episodes ago. Like, we haven't tapped out on teams, that's for sure, and even just the supply of players. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if teams just like literally still want to wait, and
well, most of these big orgs though, a lot of them don't feel like they should be having to take a risk like on these teams that aren't proven. Like mostly, I know the big orgs out there who want teams, they feel like they should be able to sign like a top 5 team right away and like be just set with that. So it's but it's just not like that. Like all the top teams are already locked into contracts with big orgs, and you just have like these tier 2, tier 3 teams that they can do well against top teams, but they're not going to consistently beat like any tier 1 team. But I'm just really interested to see whether or not some of these orgs end up signing those teams, or if they just keep holding out, trying to wait for like a superstar team to form and then just getting that.
So how much do you guys think it is a bit of, I don't know, almost like kind of squatting in a way, like, because the big thing with the end of the year is that, there's nothing that's announced right now, in terms of Blizzard and what they're going to be doing with esports. But we know that's on the horizon, sometime in the future. Maybe it's like early 2007. Nobody knows for sure.
Hush.
But I guess signing a team for 6 months right now, I mean, does that actually give, like, if you sign with a team for 6 months, for instance, Harbleu, like you guys signed for Complexity like right now for 6 months, and then let's say they announced like all their esports and whatever they're doing with esports in January or so, I mean, that doesn't really tie you guys to Complexity. I mean, in 3 months you could leave Complexity, right? Or is it a strategic thing from the standpoint of the owners to sign folks now when there's not much going on right now in Overwatch?
I think most players would want shorter contracts, just because with everything I've heard, with where it sounds like the game's going to be in like 6 to 8 months from now.
Yeah.
Where's it going to be, Harbleu?
It'll be some good stuff.
Like where? What have you been hearing?
Hey, let's just say. Actually, there's nothing. Again, there's nothing.
Let's just say you'll be eating chicken nuggets for days.
There's just a lot of stuff going around where it sounds like Blizzard is heavily invested into Overwatch as an esport. So, which, I mean, having a developer like Blizzard with as much backing as they have, having them support a game like it sounds like they will, is going to be huge for it. So, like I said, for players, normally shorter contracts is the best thing they could get. From org standpoints, obviously, they want to lock teams into them longer contracts, because in like 6 to 8 months, if they have to sign a team, salaries are probably going to be going up quite a bit. Again, none of this is locked in. None of this is guaranteed. It's just pretty much everything I've heard for everything. But for right now, with what some of the teams are getting paid, it's definitely actually more than they probably should be, because the game isn't that huge yet. Like it's definitely a big game, and like having these $300,000 tournaments, $100,000 tournaments, 40 to 50,000 viewers, like in a lot of these ones.
Whoa!
80,000, 80,000. Like it's definitely like a great start. Like considering the game's only been out like 3-4 months now. Mm-hmm. Like it's definitely an amazing start for it. But so you have that trade off of like the players normally want shorter contracts. The orgs want a lot, 2 years, some of them.
2 years?
So they don't have to. That's what there's some going for stuff like that. So
holy
it's
God.
I mean, as a player myself, I recommend to any other player to just make sure you know what you're getting into when you sign like these contracts, and like you don't lock yourself into something at a rate where you're not going to be happy like a year down the road if you still are a player. But I mean, with us, with Complexity, we're happy with what we have, and Complexity's been awesome to us. So, hey, thank you, Complexity.
So I think Jason Lake just sent you your paycheck, right?
For saying that? Yeah, exactly. Smooth that $20 bill under the table.
The bonus, the $20 bonus. Yes.
You can buy like over 20 chicken nuggets with that.
Dude, seriously. No, more than, come on, you can buy like 100 chicken nuggets these days with probably that much.
That's true.
Can you eat 100 chicken nuggets, Harbleu, at once?
I don't know, but have you seen that guy on YouTube who like, you guys have seen, I don't know, he eats like all that stuff, and it's like, dude, I get full just eating like a Big Mac. It's like, come on, how's this You're making me feel bad here.
Dude, those professional eaters are real, man. They're definitely crazy. All right, well, let's talk. Let's kind of move from like the good news to a little bit of sad news, which is Colorado Clutch is disbanding. And you guys might remember Colorado Clutch from, I mean, just the NA tournament. He's obviously an NA team, but particularly from Agents Rising, since they were one of the 4 teams that were invited to that event, and they did pretty well at that event too. But Justin, the owner of or co-owner of Colorado Clutch, came out with a twit longer that, let me show you guys too here. Basically explain just, basically what's going on with the team. And long story short, they were trying to qualify for the E-League, and they didn't end up qualifying it, and just ended up being one of those situations where the players had different opportunities, and their contract with Colorado Clutch was kind of holding them back from their opportunities, and so he and I guess the co-owner, maybe the co-owner a little bit more, ended up releasing these guys and letting them do that. This is kind of the tale of any small team that you've seen in other esports too. So it's sad because it's very, very difficult for brand new teams and team brands to establish themselves, particularly ones that start in a highly competitive space like Overwatch. From the Hearthstone, I obviously do some Hearthstone stuff too. And, in Hearthstone, we actually had 2 teams that were formed out of the Hearthstone space, which was Tempo Storm and Archon. And, they've definitely had some success, Archon announcing they're disbanding recently, but Tempo Storm's had some success, and it's what's widened to different esports too. And I don't know if we're going to actually be able to even see that in Overwatch.
You got Reunited. Reunited's a player-run org.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
You mean CLG? Oh, I mean, yeah, Reunited.
Oh,
you mean Optic?
I'm
I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad.
Damn. So yeah, what are your thoughts? What are you guys' thoughts? Is it going to be possible for a team to get success, start in the Overwatch space, and be able to become a big team brand?
I mean,
no.
Ooh,
okay, no.
See, we have different opinions on this, and I think if you had like a a top level team who wanted to do something like that and didn't want to just sign with an org, I could definitely see it happening. Like Reunited, sounds like you might know more about this than I do.
I can almost guarantee one day Reunited will be picked up by a different org. There's just thing is
So what makes Overwatch different than CS:GO though? Because CS:GO, you have teams like Godsent, and then Heroic actually is a new one that formed where it's player-run orgs. Yeah,
how many big orgs don't already have a team in CS?
Either one of those teams, if Godsent or Heroic, if they wanted to join a big org, they could like that.
No, what big orgs are left that don't already have teams?
I mean,
every big org already has a team, and that's partially why they're also making their own brand.
Godsent 100% could get any top org if it
but what org? I understand, but what orgs are there left that don't have teams?
I mean, but then if the contracts were ending from a team, they'd get I think these teams, they didn't do it because they couldn't find another big org. I think they did it because they saw Astralis, even back 8 months ago when they left TSM to form their own brand, Astralis. There was orgs out there they definitely could have signed with. Yeah. But they saw that there's definitely, as player-run orgs, there's a lot of money to be made out there when literally any money you make, obviously it's a risk and you have to have an investor and things like that, a fallback and all that. But I could definitely see it working out if you had a tier 1 team trying to do something like that. Now the issue is if it's a tier 3 team or something, then you're not going to have as many people looking to back it and invest in it. So it depends on the team. Now it's obviously a huge risk if you're doing it also. The safest option would always be to sign with a top org where you're guaranteed to have stability, guaranteed to have that paycheck coming in, and that's all set. But that's true with any type of investment. There's always the risk to it, and I could see potentially some team or players trying out something like that and seeing where it goes. And I think there is the possibility that it could work out.
Yeah. See, I don't see it happening just because Overwatch is nowhere near big enough for a self-made organization to really succeed easily. And all the people who try to become pros and became pros in Overwatch wanted a paycheck as soon as possible. No one wants to sit back and wait. No, just let's make an org, and 6 months down the line we'll finally have a paycheck. We'll finally be able to make money. I think there's just way too many teams right now that just want to cash in as quick as they possibly can because they don't know how long their career is going to last,
right.
or even how long the game's going to last. And there's definitely not enough money in Overwatch at the moment to not try to cash in a paycheck right now.
So I agree with that. I think at the current and with how many orgs are looking at investing to the game, I think by far the safest option is going with an org right now, just because the salaries some are willing to offer and everything like that. It's right now, I think definitely an org is the safest option. But down the road, like in a year from now, depending on where the game goes, that's where then I could definitely think if the game does get to that like CS:GO level where you have these $500 million tournaments and you have like each tournament. I'm not saying anything that's going to happen. I'm saying if it did get to any point like that, then I could definitely see something like a player or an org working out.
I think also being part of an org gives you more credibility when you go into a game as well, or like in a game. Like the fact that Envious have like the best team in the world. Like the fact that you're joining Envious is like everyone will know who Envious is, and Envious is making a huge investment onto this team and hoping down the line that this team will end up making them money back and like having a net revenue against them. Yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this.
There's cross exposure too, right? I mean, there's definitely cross exposure, which benefits the players too. And like you said, I mean, these big organizations that actually have cash to invest or blow or whatever you want to call it, can invest into the long term potential for their brand in the space, right? I actually think it's possible. Like I think it's there's very, very small percentage chance, but it is possible that there is a player, and there's two scenarios I can see. A player who actually has a ton of success, like let's just say Seagull as a streamer, that has a lot of revenue that way. And this is like the model that Amaz and Reynad went with Hearthstone. They have their own revenue streams that basically funds this team, and signing players and supporting like a large amount of players, right? And building this team brand that way. Or it's just somebody who's just wealthy, like I don't know, they're born into wealth or whatnot, and they just have a lot of money, and they happen to be an Overwatch player too. I think that could happen. I could see it. There's a chance of that happening in the space, but that's about the only thing. Like Jason said, you have to have money. I mean, there's no way around that. If you don't have enough money, you can't compete against the big.
Well, brands. That's where like the soda popping thing with like the Northern Gaming came with. Like exactly. A streamer, he decided that he wanted to have an org, and he picked up like NG Blue and NG Red, and then then it just became Northern Gaming. Yeah. Then the team died. So, but yeah, like you see, like you pretty much, if you're a big streamer, like. I could definitely see, like with Seagull, he could have the chance of doing something like it if he wanted to, but obviously
it's still further down the line.
He's with NRG. I know they're happy with NRG. So.
Exactly.
It's also tricky because a lot of these big orgs came around through League of Legends. Like I think we already hit like the esports boom pretty much. You have CLG, TSM, Cloud9. Sure. I mean, I could keep going, but I just can't remember all the top of my head. That just came from League of Legends. Like FaZe and Optic came from Call of Duty. And I don't really see an org really being able to pull it off anymore, or orgs in general being able to compete with, like, for instance, like if you're Colorado Clutch and Cloud9 comes up to you saying, we want to pick up your team, like they have all the money in the world to buy you out. So even with Creation Esports and Dignitas, like if you get offered enough money, you're going to leave the team and join them. And it doesn't matter like how hard you try to keep the players, you just can't match the salary and the money that they can physically put up. And then eventually you have, Man United wanted to look for an Overwatch team originally, and then it kind of never happened. Mm-hmm. Like, what if there's professional football clubs in Europe? Like, they have billions of dollars to spend. How are you ever going to keep up with that?
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely very, very difficult. And, you have to want to keep a team, like want to stay as a team. And it's hard to get all the players and everybody to buy into that, too. But okay, why don't we move on to one last thing? This is going to be our last topic, and then we'll call it a show. The Overwatch World Cup, which Jason's been casting this last week, and casting the preliminaries for EU, which the EU, I believe, is the only region that has. Oh, does Asia have preliminaries too, or is it just EU?
So there's the APAC and Latin America have. Actually, technically, every region has preliminaries, but I don't know what's happening with North America yet. That's being run by Blizzard directly, as far as I know.
Yeah.
If only Harbleu was voted in, we'd be able to give us more information about that. Too soon. But no, there's Latin America and APAC games as well that are still in their, I think, first stage. I don't know necessarily what's happening with the knockout round. But in Europe, last week we had, Thursday, Friday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had the initial matches where Germany CIS and Baltic Sea, Finland, Iceland, France, Norway, Sweden, Turkey, Russia, Italy, Spain, and Benelux all got through their groups. And now coming up starting tomorrow through the 16th, we have the knockout rounds. So you play one match, it's a best of 5. You win, you're going to BlizzCon. You lose, you're out. Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, the teams are scheduling their own games, so I can't actually give you a full lineup of what's happening yet. But I can tell you tomorrow at 5 p.m. CEST, I think we have Russia versus. One second, I guess I have them up already like sticky on red. Yeah. It's like Russia versus someone. Russia versus Norway. So Russia first seed out of their group, beating, I think it was Italy, and then Norway losing to France actually in their group, came out second. So those two play at 5 p.m. CEST, and then if you're PST, if you're in the West Coast, it's 8 a.m. And then France plays Turkey later on that day, 2 or 3 hours later. So at 8 o'clock CEST, it'll be France versus Turkey. There can be more matches scheduled in, but this is all I literally have right now. I don't actually know until they've scheduled their matches what other things will be happening. So that'll be casted tomorrow by myself and Demon, as well as like other language streams.
So how are the? I mean, I watched probably 5 or 6 of the matches, just from VODs and stuff. But how are the games just generally? Because there's been talk about people forfeiting and whatnot, but
there wasn't that many forfeits, to be honest. Like Switzerland had to forfeit all their games, and I think people saw the Reddit post about that. I think there was like one Denmark forfeit and then like one UK forfeit because a player didn't show up. The games actually weren't too bad. There was a lot of individual players, like for instance in Israel, a guy named Cafe, Kafe, but it's like a lot of A's and F's or whatever. Probably like one of the most insane McCreers I've ever seen, like on the level of Taimu. And we never would have seen players like, he was ridiculously good. And we never would have been able to see players like that, like to have maybe a chance. He's on an Israeli team, if I remember correctly. But there's a lot of good games, actually. And if you guys didn't catch any of the games, I recommend one game to watch.
Okay.
Finland versus UK. Probably one of the most hilarious games you'll ever see between the teams, because the UK and Finland were both having a great time. There was a lot of talks between crews. Numlocked and Linkser, who both play for Dignitas, were on opposite teams and had a big battle going up between the two, who can kill each other the most. It was amazing, actually.
Side game.
So
side bet.
I'll say with the thing you mentioned about the Israeli player, I think that's pretty cool seeing, like, and I think that's actually what Blizzard's goal of this whole thing was. It was to give these players exposure who normally wouldn't have it. So I think like having like these players like do like these really impressive performances like this is, I think Blizzard would definitely be happy to hear that. Now, I think it's cool having like these fun matches where players are doing these fun things, but the competitor in me would have loved to see like these be like almost all-star teams from these countries. Obviously, that's not what Blizzard was going for with it, with the community voting and everything else like that. But there's just that part of me that wishes that like when you have like Team France versus like Team Russia and all that, where you literally have like an all-star team from those countries playing each other, so you'd be like, okay, this country is better than this country, like, and you can say that kind of with confidence, knowing all that. But because then it's weird because you have some rosters like Sweden or America or somewhere it is like mostly top players and things like that. So you have like these some countries where it's like actually could be a top team, versus these other countries where it's like, okay, they got a streamer here. Just like these random ranked players, like some matches aren't going to be competitive, but it sounds like there's been some cool stuff going on in it so far. And like you said, or having like certain players have these breakout performances in it is definitely good exposure. And I think that was one of Blizzard's goal, is to give them like an opportunity to show themselves off in it. So I think that's pretty cool also. So it sounds like there's been some good stuff going on, and it sounds like there are still some good matches too. And I think like there are like some of the countries like Sweden and Russia and all that have like good teams actually, which will have competitive games.
Germany versus CS and Baltic was a really good game as well, because that was Internet Hulk, Artier, Icefelt, Skipjack in there. I can't remember the last two for the life of me. I can look it up really quickly, but like versus against Valitage's team, which had like ANAC on the team. It was some really good games actually between the two. And then even like the games that you wouldn't expect, like maybe they're not pro level games, but they were still like ridiculously close games between some teams, like Serbia and Austria. Austria and Czech Republic on day one we had was really good as well.
Yeah, I mean, the good news about all this with whole prelims and stuff is that by the time we get to BlizzCon, we will see basically the best teams from this whole thing there competing. So I think the product that's going to be shown at BlizzCon will be a much more competitive type of product than I think a fun product. Because right now it's just like, I don't know, how are you guys? I mean, I've heard you guys cast obviously a few of the matches, but generally just from the standpoint of being a caster for this, is it any different for you? Are you just casting it as just like any kind of competitive type event, or are you? Is it supposed to be more of a fun type of cast? You know what I mean? Like that's where there's like a weird, kind of non-consistency with how, what this event is and how we're presenting it to. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I think we took it more in the serious route because like none of the talent has been chosen for BlizzCon yet.
Yeah.
And obviously we want to go, so we're not gonna like goof off and do things we shouldn't be saying.
Save your job. Okay.
When we want to like actually go to the event.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
No, I think we would take it more competitively than we would have done like for a show match. It's definitely not kind of a show match level casting wise when we go to actually do this kind of game. Plus, the people, like for instance, whenever we do for instance like these Go for League of Legends or like these small little tournaments, the teams who never get casted love it. Like the fact that they're like, oh my god, I'm being streamed and I'm getting casted, and
I know what you mean.
You don't want to take away from that by like making jokes the entire time. You want to give them that not exposure, that help me out here.
What? Oh,
please. No, I'm enjoying this. Don't help him. Don't help him.
Yes, that experience. Thank you. You want to give him that experience of being like a pro player and being casted and people watching and like his parent, like someone's like, hi mom in chat.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So you don't want to take away from that, and you don't want to like joke around too much, like saying, oh, that player, he was shit. He was terrible.
Well, it's not like you wouldn't say that, but there would definitely be.
I mean, if it was a show match, I sure as hell would call someone shit. I think. During the Atlantic Showdown, when I saw Harbleu playing, I said he was shit.
Wow.
Wow. All those
I think you mean shitting on C9, but
oh, damn.
I mean, yeah, he did win. Yeah, I mean, Dignitas didn't win anything, so.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good way to end it. But why don't we call it a show? Definitely, Harbleu, is a pleasure having you on. And I've been trying to get you on the show for a long time. I don't know if you realize, like, my original message to you was like months ago, I think, for the overview. So
I'll just say I hate how Discord doesn't have like a little beep or something when someone PMs you on Discord.
Sure,
so because half the time I'll get like Jason sent me a message a couple days ago, and I'll be like, I won't notice it until like the next day, and it's like, shit.
Don't notice it.
Don't notice it, exactly.
And that's what it doesn't make like a beep or anything, or like it doesn't flash like on my taskbar. So hey, Discord, if you're out there, you got a good product, but there's some it needs work.
It needs work, that's for sure. But big shout out to Tiffany for helping out and arranging it. Double teaming you basically, so yeah, it's a pleasure having you on. You had fun. That's always good. That's always good. You had fun.
I imagined ChanManV and Tifa. Wait, was it you and me, or was it Tifa and ChanManV? Who was double teaming Harbleu?
Oh my god! Oh, you guys are like a ridiculous.
All right, have a good night, everyone.
So dirty-minded, man. No, but anyways, I have a pleasure having you on, man. It was a great discussion. And you have any shout outs, and where can people find you?
They can find me on my twitch.tv/Harbleu. That is HAR. ELEU. That looks like chair squeak.
Get closer to this mic.
Shout out to WD-40. Please give me some of your product to fix my chair.
Doesn't Complexity have a chair sponsor?
Yes, but we're not in the gaming house yet, so you know what it is. But I'll be streaming tonight. If anyone wants to, if they find me funny for some reason, they can tune in, and I'll be playing some video games, trying to get my Grandmaster back. Like probably 12:30 a.m. Eastern. So that's enough selling out for me. Anyone else want to sell out?
See, I do the normal shout outs that I do here, which is gonna make you look terrible, is a shout out to ChanManV for the show, and a shout out to my parents for letting me do what I love and giving me the opportunity when I was younger.
Whoa.
And shout out to me, right? For being
and
here.
Shout out to the entirety of Complexity for having to put up with Harbleu. And Jason Lake for not realizing what he got himself into.
Oh.
Well, and chicken nuggets, McDonald's.
Little do you know that Harbleu's just
thank you, McDonald's.
Are they McDonald's chicken nuggets? I thought they were. You said you were eating.
They were McDonald's.
Of course they're gonna be.
Ranch dressing. What do you mean?
Oh,
whoa!
okay,
Watch your mouth, your son. I live in Germany. I've had 4 years of no ranch dressing. Don't pull this on me.
Okay, that was actually the weirdest thing when I went to Europe. Was that I went to like a Subway or something and wanted ranch dressing on one of my salads or sandwiches. Yep. I mean, and they just looked at me like, "What is that?" And I was like, never mind."
Yep, and also the sparkling water. It's all bubbly.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Yep.
All right, I'll round things out. Big thanks to both of you guys, Harbleu and Jason, for doing the show today. Those wondering where Ben is like neck high in BlizzCon or no, TwitchCon planning right now. So you might not see him for a couple weeks, but he'll be back right after TwitchCon. So Fish Sticks hasn't gone anywhere for you guys wondering. But for those of you that missed some of the beginning of the show, you can find the VODs on youtube.com/ChanManV. I'll upload those right after the show, so they'll be up in about 30 minutes. All the folks that listen on audio, you can find on iTunes and Google by tomorrow morning. So definitely check that out. And if you guys do enjoy the show on iTunes, feel free to leave a nice review because it really helps people find the Overview when they're searching for Overwatch podcasts. But that's going to be it for this week. So for Harbleu, Jason, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week. Later.
Peace.